What comes first before conscious memory, before recorded images, and before the oral accounts that later helped me understand what happened during my first 2.5 years of life, is a melody. It's the sound of a lullaby sung by a woman who loves me infinitely, in a full voice that is unstrained but on key, perhaps with a frill here and there that she would never dare use at choir practice or in church, but allows herself just for me. The melody is accompanied in my primal senses by the sensation of motion as I am held to her bosom and rocked. Fittingly, my life begins with a dance, a waltz. Out of this music and movement, other impressions remain of my first foster mother, Bertha Taylor, who received me from the Holy Innocents' Home, the orphanage connected to Mercy Hospital in Portland, Maine. When I was 3 weeks old, Bertha took me to her home 15 miles away in a small town of Gray, Maine, with the absolute conviction that she would raise me to adulthood as her own. I know in my cells that this was her maternal plan, just as I know how generously and tenderly every day she kissed my forehead, the nape of my neck, and all my fingers and toes. I know that with her husband at her side and helping too, she bathed me and changed my diapers for 2.5 years, and that with her 2 best friends, Laura Sawyer and Retha Dunn, and their husbands, created a foundation of love and community that would live on in my self-esteem even when I couldn't name its origin. I know that Bertha was my mother, who bundled me up and took me outside as winter approached to introduce me to my first falling snow, the same mother who encouraged me to take my first steps. Here in Gray, Maine, population 2,100 or so, approximately 99.9% Caucasian in the early 1960s, in the Taylor home on Greenleaf Street, formerly an old red brick railroad station that Bertha converted into a 10-room residence, joy was born in my life. This imprinted happiness was a lasting gift that my first foster mother bestowed upon me. What I also know, however, is that it was in this same place where I first heard a grown woman crying. That sound of anguish after a prolonged but failed effort to adopt me left a confusing shadow over my childhood, a dark mystery rooted not only in the circumstances of my birth, but in the very history of Maine.